This is the Don't Quit podcast by TyypoPrints. I'm Nick Mann, and this is episode 13, How to Keep Going When Your Work Sucks. People like Einstein has said a lot of great things like theory of relativity, but one of the lesser known is about creating. He said by building and sharing it with the world requires a lot of bravery. Ultimately, it's like breaking a part of yourself free. You should probably encounter the problem of being a prisoner of your own ideas. They stop us from learning the new skills and stunt our personal growth. It's okay, it happens, and you probably have tried to create something new for the first time and it probably sucked. Or when you feel everything is too much for a new idea and it just seems easier to give up. Let's look into how we can break out of these mental prisons. By getting comfortable with failing, which is known as productive failures, this will actually be healthy and something we should do. Give yourself permission to be terrible. And how do you get over being terrible? By not sticking with the things that are easy. Sure, you'll be good at them, but you will miss out on all the thrill of overcoming great obstacles and thus improving yourself as a person. One thing that we can do is give ourselves permission to be terrible. Given the knowledge of success, this really should be our first step in becoming something great. Why should this be our first step? Because just because you're not good at something doesn't mean you can't have fun, and doing things you are good at aren't always the most enjoyable, and being bad at something only lasts a fraction in our lifetime. Even though sucking can last a while, keep going and you will eventually get better, as practice makes perfect. The actual good news about taking on more than you can handle is when you learn something new. It can be surprisingly good for you and can help you learn faster. The professor of psychological studies in Hong Kong Institute of Education, Mann has talked about productive failures. To learn, students were shown concepts that have never been seen before and were tasked to work on them without prior teaching on how to. This research has shown the students who are not shown how to do something were able to outperform the group that were shown. Kapur's theory, and what happened here, is that the students who discovered on their own were able to identify what they did know compared to what they didn't know, and were able to push the limits to gain that understanding that wasn't there before. This is deeper learning, which was what we gain when we try to solve things the hard way. While learning the hard way isn't nearly as fun as being shown on how to do something, it can actually be more productive in the long run. And growth mindset is the ability to pathologically think beyond what you're capable of and act upon it. Carol Dweck, a researcher at Stanford University and author of Mindset, the New Psychological of Success, explains the difference between the two mindsets using students as an example. In a fixed mindset, students believe their basic abilities, their intelligence, their talents are just fixed traits. They have a certain amount and that's that. And then their goal becomes to look smart all the time and never look dumb. In a growth mindset, the students understand that their talents and abilities can be developed through effort, good teaching, and persistence. They don't necessarily think everyone's the same or anyone can be Einstein, but they believe everyone can be smarter if they work at it. Due to Dweck's studies, we now know much of their success comes from the mind and believing that you can do it, as opposed to you can only do what you're fixed at. Those who with a growth mindset can deal with being terrible at something, but because their mind is set on the growth, they can see that they will eventually improve and thus achieve it. Thank you for listening to this episode. I'm Nick Mann, and you just listened to the Don't Quit podcast by TyypoPrints. If you'd like to contact me, send me an email at nick@TyypoPrints.com. That is TYYPO Prints. Also, I encourage you to rate the show on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and share with your friends. TyypoPrints makes dreamers into doers, and I personally have written an email course just for you. It's called the Breakthrough Email Course to finally get over the biggest challenges that are keeping you from taking charge of your own life. It's completely free with no spam. You'll get an email every morning for the next 7 days, and at any point you want to talk to me, just reply to that email and I will get back to you. Sign up for free at TyypoPrints.com/thebreakthrough, and let's break through your problems together.